All right, y'all. We get praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come by Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe to receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you, but there is one that accuses you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Shalom, Sister Rose. John chapter 8, verse 31. Then said Yahushua to those Yahudim which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then you are my disciples indeed. Shalom, Brother Rob. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, we be Abraham's seed. We've never been in bondage to any man. How say you shall be made free? Yahushua answered them, truly, truly, I say unto you, whosoever commits sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abide not in the house forever. The Son abide ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. Shalom, Brother Ernest. I know that you are, we don't need that. Come over here to Isaiah 11. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. Peace, brother, on my mind. Tavon, what's happening, man? And the Ruach of Yahuwah shall rest upon him, the Ruach of wisdom and understanding, the Ruach of counsel and might, the Ruach of knowledge and the fear of Yahuwah, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahuwah, and shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and the faithfulness of his reign. Isaiah 9 and 14. Exodus 9 and 14. I'm sorry. Exodus 9 and 14. For I will at this time send all my plagues upon your heart, and upon your servants, and upon your people, that you may know that none like me in all the earth. For now will I stretch out my hand that I will smite you and your people with pestilence, and you shall be cut off from the earth. And in very deed for this have I raised you up, for to show my power, that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. Shalom, Jay. Come over here to Exodus chapter 6. We're going to be zeroing in on this passage about Pharaoh. But before we do that, Exodus 5 and 1. And afterwards, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. So let's take a look at something. So again, we'll let my people go. Hey, don't come in here with all that noise. That's all three of y'all. Don't come in here with that. Again, let go is a word we've already went over. Shalak, Shan, Lamad, and Kat. To send away, to stretch out, to dismiss, to cast out. So, but now I want you to look at feast. And feast is Kagab. Kat, double Gamal. This is a pilgrimage feast. To hold the feast, to hold the festival, to make a pilgrimage, to keep a pilgrimage feast. What comes to your mind when you hear this about keeping a pilgrimage feast? Does anything come to mind when you hear this about a pilgrimage feast? Hey, no. Nobody? Don't nothing come to mind for a pilgrimage feast? Oh, that's unfortunate. Come over here to Exodus chapter 23. I can see why you would say that, but in this instance, we want to be a little bit more specific. 23 and 14. 23 and 14, book of Exodus. 3 times shall you keep a feast unto me in the year. Kagad is the word that's used there for feast in Exodus 23 and 14 with your pilgrimage feast. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. You shall eat unleavened bread 7 days as I command you in the time appointed of the month of Abib. For in it you came out of Mizraim, and none shall appear before me empty. The feast of the harvest, the first fruits of your labors, which you have sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when you have gathered in your labors out of the field. 3 times in the year, all your males shall appear before the Lord. Yahuwah. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, neither shall the fat of my sacrifice remain until the morning. The first fruits of your land you shall bring into the house of Yahuwah your Elohim. You shall not see the kid in his mother's milk. So let's take a look at something else. Let's look at a couple things that prayerfully they stood out to you when you heard them. So when you hear pilgrimage feast, that's always going to be in a reference to unleavened bread, first fruits, and tabernacles. Every single solitary time. Because those are the 3 that you're required to come up. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I don't need that. Okay, I don't want to have this conversation. Go sit down. I want you to look at gathered your labors out of the field in verse 16. When you look at gathered, that is a saf, that is aleph, samak, and pay. That is the gather, that is to receive shalom 10K. To gather, individual into a company of others. To gather, to take away, remove, withdraw, to assemble, or to be gathered. Now you're looking at gathering labors out of the field. Does anything come to y'all mind when you hear gathering labors out of the field? Labors here is Maseh, Meen, Ayin, Shan, and Hay. That's deed, work, labor, business, pursuit, undertaking, enterprise, product, work, things made. And you're gathering them out of the field. Does anything come to mind? Field here is Sadeh, that is field of land, cultivated field, Shan, Dalit, and Hay. Does anything come to mind when he's telling you that at the end of the year, when you were gathered in your labors out of the field? Anybody? Hey, sit down. Go sit down. I need all y'all to go sit down. I'll allow it, but you got to be more specific than that. Yeah, y'all got to be a little bit more specific than that. You got to be able to produce some type of word with it. Indeed, Matthew 13 is one of them because it's not just going to be just the resurrection of the dead. It's going to be the gathering of the people also. Let's come over here to Matthew 13. Matthew chapter 13, verse 24. Or do I even want 24? I really don't. I want 31. No, 24 is fine. Matthew 13 and 24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the household, no, boy. Yeah, it does. I'm just trying to, you got to get specific. You know what I'm saying? Again, I told you this before. You want to come at it as if you sitting down explaining this to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Not just answering a question. As if somebody brought that to you and say, what do you mean gathering your labors in the field? Be specific and direct and leave no stone unturned when you answering it. You know what I'm saying? Not just say, he asked a question, let me answer it. You got to be laser specific. Hey, go sit down. Go sit down. Verse 27. So the servants of the household came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? From whence then have it tares? He said unto them, an enemy have done this. The servant said unto him, will you then that we go and gather them up? But he said, nay, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather you together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So let's drop down to verse 36. Then Yahushua sent the multitude away. Shalom, brother Marvin, man. And went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, he that sowed the good seed is the son of Adam. The field is the world. So we've already established, from Luke chapter 8, that the seed is the word. So the good seed sown is the word into the hearts of men. And he says that the son of Adam, or Yahushua, is the one who did it. The good seed are the sons of the kingdom. The good seed are those who are born of the word. The tares are the children of the wicked one. Now, what is a tare? For those who may not remember, or those who are not familiar, let me give you the strict Greek definition of what a tare is. The Greek word for tare is dizinion. It's a kind of darnel resembling wheat, except the grains are black. It is a false grain. It's a false grain, somewhat like a wheat, but it's a false grain. It looked like the wheat, but it's black. So when you hear that, it looked like everything except that wheat would look like, except the inside of it is black. And of course, if you grab up all of it, you'll destroy everything. So he say, just let it come up together at the same time. So as Paul wrote, they have a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, if you will. Let's continue. Verse 39. And these are those who are born of the devil. So you know from 1 John 3:8, he that commits sin is of the devil. For the devil sinned from the beginning. For this cause was the Son of God manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. Then you got, he that is born of God do not commit sin. He cannot sin. His seed remain in him because he is born of God. And this we know, the children of God and the children of the devil. I think we read the verse the other day that he make manifest all the secrets of men. Because, people like to think and believe that you can't know what's in people's hearts. But people's behavior and their words will always show you what's in their heart. It'll get exposed every time. Most people just want to either try to gaslight you or manipulate you to believe that you ain't seeing what you seeing. And they not who they showing you that they are. So when you see, like most of us have never grown wheat, but if you've ever seen wheat grown, let's see if I can find a photo representation. Because I ain't never been on no farm and seen no wheat growing, I can tell you that. Let me see because I just want an image. So here we go. Let me see if I can turn it, because they done changed the doggone thing on this iPhone, man. I don't like that thing. I can't do what I used to be able to do with that. But that's what it looked like. And see, y'all can't see that because now it's too bright. But one wheat is completely look like some type of greenish color, while the other one has a dark tint to it. See, I can't turn the brightness down, and I don't know how to do it no more because when they update the phone, it changed. Yeah, so they can see it. See, it used to be right here. Now it's not. I ain't going on that. They shouldn't have changed nothing.
Somebody shouldn't change nothing. No, they give you an option to set it up.
No, but I don't want to leave it that way. And if I got to go to my settings to do it, that's too much.
I'm saying for this cause until we have time to figure it out.
Yeah, I did put it down in the right corner twice. Yeah, I had already did that. I just remember that last update, that junk was gone. Yeah, that junk was gone. No, I did. I did. But the last update, that junk gone now. Now you got a heart right here for your home setup. Swing it to Apple Music. I ain't got no home set up. And then my Wi-Fi, AirDrop, cellular data, personal hotspot, satellite, all that. It ain't used to be like that. Now I got controls, but that junk still ain't on there because now it's talking about with Siri. Yeah, it ain't used to be like that, man. That last update, that junk changed. That junk, I ain't like it. The same way when they did that update and they changed the photographs. I don't know if yours like that.
I don't let them update my phone. They have to ask me. Not my phone. They don't charge me at night, so ain't no automatics to me.
That's true. I need my phone charged anymore.
No, I'm just saying, you could choose not for your updates to be automatic. You could deny them because you may not like the update. And that's how I feel. Some updates I don't like, so I don't choose to get them.
Oh, I don't know what the updates are, so shoot.
They tell you before they get the phone. They offer you the update.
Man, I don't know them people don't be paying attention to all that. That junk ain't even that important. It's not.
You say one thing, and then when somebody try to educate you.
No, I'm saying, I mean, it's not important for me to pay attention to all that.
Okay, well, then you don't like it. It's up. That's why they tell you what's not, so that when they change something, you can know what they changed.
I mean, if I was looking at it, I wouldn't even know what they were talking about to care.
Sorry, it's very fun. You got like you slow. You got like you are.
Man, I don't be reading all that junk. I don't even know what these people that they didn't say nothing about no phone, how that junk was gonna change no photograph layout and all that. They ain't that goddamn detailed.
Yes, they did. They have a whole app on there called Tips. So they tell you what they changed and how they
they ain't tapping on no doing all that.
Okay, so don't complain about that.
No, I ain't complaining to say I don't like it.
They changed it.
Yeah, I don't like it. I can't find what I was looking for. Now it's gone.
Right. And all you gotta do is look at what they show you.
Yeah, so verse 39, Matthew 13. The enemy that sold them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world. The reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be at the end of the world. The son of Adam shall send forth his malachim, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and which do iniquity. They shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the malkuth of their Abba. Who have ears to hear, let them hear. So listen. Now you're dealing with gathering your labors out of the field. Now, Revelation 14 to 13 is, you know, your works do follow you. But let's come over here to Matthew 24. And I want to set this point too, looking at Pharaoh, because we've looked at Pharaoh, Shalom, Sister Virginia, in multiple ways. Some instances you can look at Pharaoh as the beast. Some instances you can look at Pharaoh as Satan. And then at least in the instance of Exodus 9 to 16, it'll be referencing Yahusha. It's all going to depend on when you're going from the old to the new with Pharaoh as far as what you're looking at. When you look at Pharaoh oppressing the people as a whole, you can see him as playing the role of the beast. When you see him as playing the role of the taskmaster, and with that same oppression, you can see him as playing the role of the devil. When you sit back and you look at Exodus 9 and 16, which we're looking at, which he say, hey, I've raised you up that I might make my power known, that my name may be declared, then you have a reference to Mashiach. Matthew chapter 24, verse 26. Wherefore, if I shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chamber, believe it not. For as the lightning come out of the east and shine unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Adam be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together, and immediately after the tribulation of those days, that shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from Shamaim, and the powers of Shamaim shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Adam in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Adam coming in the clouds of Shamaim with great power, with power and great esteem. And he shall send his malachim with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So when you look at this here, it's forth as Exodus 23 and 14, referring to tabernacles. And you know that tabernacles is the feast of which the Lord will return on. He is, of course, you remember that with the what that is, Luke, man. The first, second, and third watch. So now he's telling you that this is when at the end of the year, which will be gathered in the labors out of your field. Let's take a look at this one here, Ephesians chapter 2. There we go. Ephesians 2, verse 5. Even when you were dead in sins, have quickened us together with a Mashiach. By grace you are saved. And have raised us up together and made us sit together in Shamayim and Mashiach Yahusha, that in the ages to come, he might show the exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness towards us through Mashiach Yahusha. For by grace are you saved, through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is of the gift of Elohim, not of works, lest any man should boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Mashiach Yahusha unto good works, which Elohim before have ordained that we should walk in them. So now we want to look at workmanship. When you get workmanship here, you have the Greek word poiema, that which has been made, a work. And of course, this is going to coincide with your labors of which he is going to gather. So that which he has labored in, that which he's going to gather. I think we pulled this verse out, but I didn't read it. Come over here to 1 Corinthians. I think we pulled this out last night and we read it. In 1 Corinthians chapter 4. Where we at, man? 4 and 14. He said, I write not these things to shame you, but as my beloved sons I warn. For though you have 10,000 instructors in a Mashiach, you have not many fathers, for in Mashiach Yahusha I have begotten you through the gospel. Wherefore I beseech you, be you followers of me. For this cause send I unto you Timotheus, who is my beloved son, faithful in the Lord, who shall bring you into remembrance of my ways, which being a Mashiach, and I teach everywhere, in every synagogue or every assembly. So what I'm mentioning that there with the begotten part is he's just mentioning that you are his workmanship. He has manifested and created you in a Mashiach. Now, all these laborers are going to be gathered because he's going to gather you in on tabernacles. This is just important when the aspect when you see, let them keep a feast to me. Because now this is the pilgrimage feast. Obviously, in this instance, it could have been Passover, it could have been unleavened bread, first fruits, or it could have been tabernacles of which he was referencing. More than likely in this instance, it's unleavened bread based off the context of what happens in the story. So let's come back to Exodus 5. So I just wanted to make that clear. Based off the context that they haven't came out yet, it's unleavened bread. Don't just think because they kept Passover that night and then that was the end of it, because they still had the feast right behind that. Remember, Passover is the first day of what is called the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You know, it's an 8-day event. Exodus 5 and 1. Afterwards, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, Who is Yahuwah, that I should obey his voice to let Yasharal go? I know not Yahuwah, neither will I let Yasharal go. And they said, The Elohim of the Abarim have met with us. Let us go, we pray you, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto Yahuwah Elohim, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. And the king of Egypt said unto them, Wherefore do you and Moses and Aaron let the people from their works go get you your burdens? So I want you to just hear burdens one more again. Burdens. Sebalah, Samak, Bat, Lamad, Hey, Sibalah, burden, forced labor, compulsory service, burden bearing. Does anything come to your mind when you hear that about compulsory service, burden bearing? This is what it defines as: forced labor, porterage, burden. And you can get the lights up, by the way. So, based on what we're been discussing, and you go to John 8, and you know, he that commits sin is the servant of sin. So, in this instance, you gotta, shalom, brother Mama, man. You have to pay attention. Remember, we start every service with, search the scriptures. In them you think you have eternal life. This is not saying that the Lord is literally Pharaoh. This is saying that in instances in the book, these people's actions are reflective of a work that he is going to do later. So in this instance, when you see Pharaoh talking, he represents the oppressor. Now that oppressor can be sin and death. That oppressor can be the devil. In this instance, he's referring to these burdens. So when we come over here of this compulsory service, now we read last night in Ezekiel 18, the soul that sin, it shall die. Everybody knows Romans 6 and 23 that tells you the wages of sin is death. Now we've been reading John 8 where you say, hey, he that commits sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abide not in the house forever. If the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. Now, last night we read about the freeing of a Hebrew slave and sending him out with victuals, with something. Oh, let me find that. Leviticus 15, I believe. I wasn't there. Escaped out my brain. Oh, that was Deuteronomy 15. My bad. When we was over there in Deuteronomy 15 last night, and you see how he said, if any brother, a Hebrew man or woman, be sold unto you, that in the year of release to let him go free and don't send him away empty. And remember, free is kosher, free of tax, debt, or obligation. You understand? So when you're looking at it being free of debt and obligation, he's telling you if the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. Moses and Aaron are stepping to him saying, set these people free. Now, of course, he said that Aaron would be under prophet to Moses, and Moses would be unto Pharaoh as God. So when you look at this aspect, it's the aspect of them communicating in the aspect of how Yahushua the Father would communicate in regards to setting the people free. But what are they freeing the people from? We've already read this passage in the course of these last 8 days in Hebrews, but we'll read it again just in case somebody don't recall, don't know, don't remember, or whatever the case may be, or just to lay it out there flat so nobody won't say we making something up. So when you come to Hebrews 2 and 14, for as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also likewise himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had power over death, that is the devil, and deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. Now, I'll ask this question. Can anyone see how verses 14 and 15 would directly correlate and relate and testify of things that are written in the book of Exodus? And when I'm talking about in the book of Exodus, I'm talking about from chapters 1 to 14. Chapters 1 to 14. There are elements of things that are made mention right here that you can see testified of beforehand. That's in direct correlation of what's in John 8. Because, usually when we look at John 8, we look at John 8 in regards to the differences between Ishmael and Isaac. Ishmael being a child of the flesh and not being able to inherit with the child of the promise because the servant don't abide in the house. And if we got to walk it down, we're going to walk it down. It ain't no big deal. So let's take a look at this. The children are partakers of flesh and blood. Likewise himself, he took part of the same. So let's come over here to Exodus. And that through death he might destroy him that had power of death, that is the devil. So we want to show you how Pharaoh had power over death at this particular point. Come over here to Exodus chapter 1. Let's look at verse 8. And let's look at how he had power over death at this particular time. Now there arose up a new king over Mizraim, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the sons of Yasharal, more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and they come to pass that when there fall out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us and get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the sons of Yasharal. And the Egyptians made the sons of Yasharal to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, and in mortar, and in brick, and all manner of service in the field, and all the service wherein they were made to serve was with rigor. So let's look at what this means to serve with rigor. Of course, you know that Peter instructed you to not rule over the congregation. Your law tell you to not rule over one another with rigor, because he says that I am your master, basically based off of what happened in Egypt. And if we got to go grab that, we can grab that. So that is correct. That is pay, rosh, and kav. That is harshness. That is severity. That is cruelty. That is to break apart. That is to fracture. You good, Mika. Shalom, man. Come over here to Leviticus, I believe. Leviticus 25 for that particular instance. So we was kind of having this conversation throughout the day, because these niggas be caught up in some whole other type stuff. I can tell you that. Leviticus 25 and 53. You can make it 51. If there yet be many years behind according unto them, he shall give again the price of his redemption out of the money that he was bought for. If there remain in but a few years unto the year of Jubilee, then he shall count with them according unto his years shall he give him again the price of his redemption. And as a yearly hired servant he shall he be with them, and the other shall not rule with rigor over him in their sight. And if he be not redeemed in those years, then he shall go out in the year of Jubilee, he and his sons with him. For unto me the sons of Yasharal are servants. They are my servants, whom I brought forth out of the land of Mizraim. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Now I come over here also to verse 42, same book, Leviticus 25. For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Mizraim. They shall not be sold as bondmen. This is something you can read in Nehemiah that they had going on, and the book of Jeremiah, if I'm not mistaken. You shall not rule over them with rigor, but you shall fear your Elohim. That's one thing that unfortunately a lot of people jump in the word and do. They seek to rule over people with harshness, severity, and cruelty. Some people look at harshness, severity, and cruelty because they're not allowed to do what they want to do. And that goes to what I was telling y'all about. A lot of y'all ain't never seen oppression in a congregational setting. You don't know what it looked like. You know what I'm talking about? Because there's dudes who ruling over these people with an iron fist and a foot on their neck with brass and iron, and oppressing these people in ways that many cannot even comprehend to understand. 1 Peter 5 and 1. Say, the elders which are among you I exhort, whom also an elder and a witness of the sufferings of Mashiach, and also a partaker of the esteem that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of Elohim which is among you, taking the oversight, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind, neither as being lords over Elohim's heritage, but in samples to the flock. What does that mean? That ain't what I wanted. Number one, what is not with constraint? When you look at constraint, that is an kastose, by force or constraint or compulsory. If you have to force the people to do it, if you have to compel the people to do it, then you're not supposed to be doing it. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of people don't understand. If you got to beg, push, plead, you know what I'm saying, threaten, cajole to get people to follow after you, then, man, you ain't supposed to be preaching the word. Like, what is you got going on? You know what I'm saying? Like some people think, man, ain't nobody, anybody who do this for real ain't begging nobody to listen to them, man. You can hear it or you don't. You can follow or you don't. It don't make a difference. The word's still gonna be preached. That's very difficult for people to understand. Right before I came on here, one of the dudes, I think he was at the original One West school, because one of these dudes got stuff going on, people lobbing and all type of accusations, this, that, and the third. But he was discussing that, like, people just want to be leaders and be seen for a multitude of reasons. Most don't know what to do or how to do it, or maybe don't even care to know how to do it properly. You know what I'm talking about? They just want people to listen. It's the aspect of, like, you know, you besmirching somebody else to get somebody to listen to you. Man, you ain't got no word, cuz. If you got the word for real, you ain't got time to do all that. Now, when he tell you to be not being lords over in this instance is katok o rioho, to bring one under power, to subject to oneself, to subdue or to master, to hold into subjection, to exercise lordship over. Now, you know what the Lord said in Matthew 20, so you already know that that's not the play. Now, I give you oversight, and willingly, just on general principle, oversight in this instance is episkopeo, to look upon, to oversee, to look after, to care for, the care of the assembly which rested upon the elders, to look carefully or to beware. And that's to take oversight. See, taking oversight is not just watching over the people, it's to have a care and concern for them all the way across the board. And if you don't have a care and concern for people, then this is not the job for you. And this is why we mentioned that a few weeks ago. This is a people's business. And if you're not a people person, and if you don't have a natural inclination to the cares of people, you will be completely and utterly ineffective all the way around the board. Willingly. Because most brothers think it's just about, oh, I got a precept pack, I know how to drop these verses together, I got these breakdowns, but they don't give a damn about people. It's going to be very difficult for you to facilitate the manifestation of God in that. Heko Ciose, voluntarily, willingly, of one's own accord. This is also the same word that's used in Hebrews 10 and 26 when you sin in willfully. So makes it, that's why you see them two definitions, because that's when you get the second definition in regards to the context of when it's used. So when you come back to Exodus chapter 1, that's what you're looking at when you're talking about serving with rigor. So when you see this aspect, I'm mentioning that there because you came out of Egypt where you were ruled over with rigor. So when you're coming out of that, where you were coming out of a situation where you were being ruled over with cruelty and severely, he said, no, y'all not going to do each other like that. No, we don't do that. That's why the Lord came back and told you the same thing what your law said when he told his apostles. Hey, man, those who exercise authority have dominion. That's what the Gentiles do. He said that's not going to be the case among you. How do you know this? Because when you look at Moses, Moses was the greatest of them all, but he was a servant to the people. He was greater than all of them. God spoke to him face to face. It's no different with Samuel. It's no different with David. You can see that in your law, that the men who were up here served these people. They did not seek to extract, to benefit, and exploit these people. So when you see that type of behavior, it looks like this individual is moving for the purposes of his own benefit and for the exploitation of the people for his own benefit. Then you know God ain't son him and God ain't with him. It's going to be apparent. You can see that. You would know, okay, God ain't with him, because this is not the pattern of behavior of the men who God sent and how they move. Simple. Where we at with it? Exodus 1 and 13. And the Egyptians made the sons of Yasharal to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage and mortar and brick and in all manner of service in the field. All the service wherein they was made them serve was with rigor. And the Malik of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Abarim women, and you see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared Elohim, and did not as the Malik of Mizraim commanded them, but saved the men children alive. Now, why is this important? Because these were Hebrew midwives. These were not Egyptian midwives. They were, what did Pharaoh just ask them to do? What did Pharaoh just ask these women to do? Because it said they feared God. Oh, I'm not where I need to be now. Now, Shiphrah name means fair. So you had a fair woman, and Pua name means splendid, and a splendid woman. It's a woman, good woman, splendid spirit. Not that you had to murder. They were asking them to murder. Now, why you look at the aspect of they fear God, they say we're not going to do that, because at that point they would have innocent blood on their hands. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have you done this thing, having saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore Elohim dealt with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared Elohim, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born shall you cast into the river, and every daughter shall you save alive. Now I want you to look at, he said, the Hebrew women are lively. And of course, this is kaya, kat, yad, and hay, vigorous, lively, having the vigor of life. So, and and I was talking to one of my homegirls on Clubhouse about this here, and yeah, and most of you ladies who done had birth probably already know this. You know what I'm saying? Because they believe that, and it could be that they believe that y'all are more lively and full of strength and vigor than other races of women. You know what I'm saying? But in general, most of these hospitals, they think black women are impervious to pain. They think that y'all be exaggerating, you know what I'm saying, and that y'all really can deal with it. And I only say this here because if your old lady go to the hospital for anything, especially for childbirth, well, you better make sure you there. All that being looking goofy and thinking it's a game, man, them white folks will let your old lady die now, man, with no care, concern, or regard. You know what I'm saying? There's no way in the world you can sit back and just don't say nothing. I'm telling you, boy, these people let your old lady die now, man. They really believe that y'all don't feel no pain. You know what I'm saying? Like, they really believe that. And there's books written about that. Y'all know about the medical apartheid book. It say that in there. And you can talk to a lot of women of our people, and they'll tell you the same exact experience, especially and specifically when you talking about childbirth, how they handle y'all. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, man, you know what I'm saying? I done told y'all this plenty times before. You know what I'm saying? You got to advocate. You got to be in there. You got to know what time it is. They really will let your old lady die now, man. You know what I'm talking about? Because they ain't gonna think, oh, nah, they good. They really think that niggas is super strong. Like, you don't feel nothing. Like when you say, hey, I'm hurting. Oh, nah, man. You just being over the top. You good. You can deal with it. Literally just had somebody tell me a story. They let a woman literally get split from the rooter to the tutor, man, while giving childbirth, because they wasn't listening to this woman and the pain she was in. And she had to get a C-section. So not only did she get split down below, she got cut up top. You know what I'm saying? That's excruciating. I couldn't have been mine, boy, because there'd have been a problem in there with me, man. You know what I'm saying? So I say this here, man, because you got to be in there advocating. You just can't be indifferent, not knowing what's going on. Because the people really, this not every doctor and this ain't every nurse, but you got to be on guard, because in general, they don't care. They don't. They really don't. You know what I'm saying? They really don't care. They really think, oh, she can deal with it. Jay said that's why you went the birthing center route in the hospital, about to have Ozzy my night. People didn't care about anything I had going on. Barry said they broke my collarbone when I was born. Didn't tell my mom. I'm telling you, they treat you different in that, man. Yeah, they do. And this is and even before that phrase was created, Monte, that's what I'm saying. I had put that book in there. I think we got that book. Damn, book shelf in there. I think we got that book in this house somewhere though. But if you can get your hands on medical apartheid, it talked about that. They have for a long period of time believed that black people have a higher threshold of pain than other races of people. You know what I'm saying? They really believe that. So you gotta be on guard when it comes to that, man. So when we're looking at this as a testimony, you can see that Pharaoh is trying to rule over the people, and he has power over death. See him listening to what? I'm telling you, real life experience. Shoot, them people down so we're finna try to let my old lady suffer when she was giving birth to my son. And I definitely told the anesthesiologist, if she die, you dying with her. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm gonna put hands on you, cuz. Because you see she in pain, she telling you she in pain. You can look at her and see she in pain, and you telling her she's straight. And I'm telling you, no, she's not straight. And you're not gonna brush me off and blow me off like I don't see what I'm seeing, and she not telling me that something ain't right. You're gonna do something about it, or I'm gonna do something to you. And he got right after I told him that. No, you ain't finna treat my old lady like some random person, like she ain't got people who care about her. No, not while I'm sitting in there. So ain't. He said it's the notion that these other nations' lives are more valuable than our people. Even our people, there it has. But I've also read books where they really believe that "quote unquote" Negro people are impervious to pain and have higher thresholds of pain than other races of people. I'm talking about. I've seen medical people when they used to do experiments on us, take like the Tuskegee stuff, and that's why they used to do us like that. They really believe that we have higher thresholds of pain. He's saying if we ask for pain meds, they quick to say we're drug seeking. Yeah, they like ain't nothing wrong with you. You good? You just trying to get high. No, I'm in pain, cuz. Like seriously, I'm in pain. I have not heard of. He said the Black and White Brain book. I haven't heard of that. You have to drop a link on that. So in this instance, we're looking at how Pharaoh is asking the Hebrew midwives to kill the Hebrew sons as an example of what it's talking about in regards of having power over death and the people always being subject to bondage. How do we know that? Let's come over here to Exodus chapter 2. Let's look at verse 23. So it came to pass in the process of time that the Malik of Misraim died, and the sons of Yasharal sighed by reason of the bondage. And they cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim by reason of the bondage. So when you look at bondage, and of course keep John 8 in your mind, because remember, he that commits sin is the servant of sin, you would be in bondage to it. So when you look at bondage, this is abodah, labor, service, labor work, or the labor of a slave, the service of captives. So at this particular point, if you commit sin, let's look at Romans 6 and 16 just on general principle. I'll make it 6 and 15 on the house. What then shall we sin because we are not under law but under grace? God forbid. Know you not that to whom you yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants you are to whom you obey, whether sin unto death or obedience unto righteousness? See, now if you yield yourself to servants to obey, well, let's look at what servants to obey would be is communicating to you. First and foremost, let's deal with yield. Yield is peristeme. That is to present, to have, to come, to stand beside, to be present, to bring one into fellowship or intimacy. So in this instance, that context is going to be to bring into fellowship or intimacy. And when you yield yourself to servants, what is a servant? Doulos, a slave, a bondman, a man of servile condition, a slave. So when you come have fellowship, intimacy with slavery, that is to whom you obey. You can be a slave to Mashiach or you can be a slave to the devil. But you can't be both. Obey, hupakeye, obedience, compliance, submission. Let's say city of bondage when our people left while going through. Yeah. So listen to that. To whom you yield yourself servants to obey, his servants you are to whom you obey. So at this point, you know, they're yielding themselves to Pharaoh and they're obeying him. They are slaves. They are in this compulsory service. They're seeking to be set free. Remember, he said he made himself partakers of flesh and blood to destroy him that had power over death, that is the devil, to free them who were always their entire lifetime subject to bondage. Let me read it again just in case I didn't mention it properly. Hebrews 2:14, for as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had power of death, that is the devil, and deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. So when we come back to Exodus 2:23, and it came to pass in the process of time that the Malach of Mizraim died, and the sons of Yasharal sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim by reason of the bondage, and Elohim heard their groaning. And Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Elohim looked upon the sons of Yasharal, and Elohim had respect unto. Respect. I think it's Ra there. Well, it's Yada. He knew them, to know. He perceived. He became acquainted with. He made himself known, or he was going to reveal himself. So when you look at that in this aspect, let's look and say that by death, he destroyed him that had power over death, to see how this lines up. So now I need you to come to Exodus chapter 12, and then we'll look at Exodus 14, because we already looked at 14 in one regard. We'll look at 12 right now, though. Exodus chapter 12, verse 23 is where I'll begin. For Yahuwah will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he see the blood upon the lintel and the two side posts, Yahuwah will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite. You shall observe this thing for an ordinance to you and to your sons forever. It shall come to pass when you come in the land which Yahuwah will give you, and according as he hath promised that you shall keep this service. It shall come to pass when your children say unto you, what mean you by this service? That you shall say it is the sacrifice of Yahuwah's Passover, who passed over the houses of the sons of Yasharal and Mizraim when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed their head and worshiped. The sons of Yasharal went away and did as Yahuwah commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass at midnight, Yahuwah smote all the firstborn in the land of Mizraim, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne, unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all firstborn of cattle. Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Mizraim, for there was not a house that one was not dead. And I still got some elements in Exodus 23 that I ain't touch on besides the gathering the labor in the field. And I'll come back around to that. So now we come to Exodus 14, verse 23. And the Egyptians, this is Exodus 14 and 23. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea. All Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. It came to pass in the morning watch, Yahuwah looked unto the host of the Egyptians, through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, and they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, "Let us flee from the face of Yasharal. For Yahuwah fight for them against the Egyptians." Yahuwah said unto Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters might come again upon the Egyptians and upon the chariots and upon the horsemen." Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength. And when the morning appeared and the Egyptians fled against it, Yahuwah overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen, all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them, and there remained not much as one of them. But the sons of Yasharal walked upon dry in the midst of the sea, and the waters was a wall unto them, on their right hand and on their left. Thus Yahuwah saved Yasharal that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. Yasharal saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. Yasharal saw the great work which Yahuwah did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared Yahuwah and believed Yahuwah and his servant Moses. So, what a verse at in this 15. Right here, Exodus 15:3 in the Song of Moses. Yahuwah is a man of war. Yahuwah is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his hosts have he cast into the sea. And his chosen captains are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank into the bottom as a stone. Your right hand, O Yahuwah, has become esteemed in power. Your right hand, O Yahuwah, have dashed in pieces the enemy. Now, we know from 1 Corinthians 15 that the last enemy to be destroyed is death. So when you look at Pharaoh's firstborn, because I mentioned the firstborn that Yahushua represent that, of sacrificing the firstborn for the freedom of the people. But in this instance, when you're looking at Exodus 2 and you bring Pharaoh into play, Pharaoh being drowned in the army is likewise, he took part of flesh and blood, that through death he might destroy him that had power over death, that is the devil, and then free those by reason of their hard bondage. So in this instance, you can see Mashiach, that's representative of Mashiach to set these people free of the work that he would come to do later. Again, I'll read it again. And deliver them who, this is verse 15 of Hebrews chapter 2, and deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. Because if you don't think that these people had hard servitude and they were in fear of what they were experiencing in Egypt, you lying to yourself. Now, remember, he raised Pharaoh up for this cause, that his power might be made known, that his name may be declared. And we've looked at all of that without directly referencing Exodus 9 for the entire week of unleavened bread. We looked at how the power of the Father was manifested on the Son through that sacrifice, that the Abba's name might be declared at the preaching of Yahushua HaMashiach. How is the Abba's name declared? Remember, we took the time and talked about Yahuwah Elohim, merciful, gracious, long-suffering, abundant in goodness and truth, showing mercy unto thousands, forgiving sin, iniquity, and transgression. That through that behavior, that Mashiach showed that the Father's name is declared. Everyone knows it. So when you see Pharaoh getting drowned in the sea, now this man has been raised up for this power, and the last thing to be done was for Pharaoh to be killed. Because he said, I raised him up for this purpose, to show my power. We haven't even really zeroed in on the plagues yet. We're really just zeroing in on the fact that the firstborn son was killed and he was killed. See, let's take a look at something. What? Book of Judges. Let's see, Yahushua. It's Yahushua, son of Nun. I think it's chapter 3. We want to look at a statement from Rahab the harlot. Yahushua, son of Nun, in chapter 2 of it. Two and 8. Well, I read verse 1 and then drop down to just so you can see that this is Rahab. Yahushua, son of Nun, sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came to the harlot's house named Rahab and lodged there. And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, behold, there came men in hither tonight of the sons of Yasharal to search out the country. The king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, bring forth the men that are come to you, which are entered into your house, for they be come to search out all the country. The woman took the two men and hid them and said, thus there came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. It came to pass about the time of the shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for you shall overtake them. But she brought them up to the roof of the house and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she laid in order upon the roof. The men pursued after them in the way of Jordan unto the fords, and as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, she shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof, and she said unto the men, I know Yahuwah have given you the land, and your terror is fallen upon us, and all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how Yahuwah dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. As soon as we heard these things, our heart did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For Yahuwah your Elohim, he Elohim and Shamahim above and in earth beneath. Now therefore I pray you swear unto me by Yahuwah, since I have showed you kindness, that you will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token, that you will save alive my father and my mother, my brethren, my sisters, and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. The men answer her, alive for yours, if you utter not this our business. It shall be when Yahuwah have given us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with you. And she let them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. She said unto them, get you to the mountain, lest the pursuers meet you, and hide yourselves there 3 days, until the pursuers be returned, and afterwards you may go your way. And the men said unto her, we will be blameless of this thine oath, which you have made us to swear. See, do these two men represent the way the two kingdoms being met? Not in this instance. Not in this instance. But you can definitely look at the publicans and the harlots will get in before you because they believe. And we can grab that in a second. You can definitely look at that, though. But that one never won't necessarily be the two kingdoms. Hold on, let me read this 18. Behold, when you come into your land, you shall bind this line of scarlet thread in the window which you did let us down by, and you shall bring your father, your mother, your brethren, and all your father's household home unto you. It shall be that whosoever shall go out of the doors of your house into the street, his blood shall be his own upon his head, and we will be guiltless. Whosoever shall be with you in the house, his blood shall be on our head, if any hand be upon him. And if you utter this our business, then we will quit you of your oath, which you have made us to swear. She said, according unto your word, so be it. And she sent them away, and they departed, and she bound the scarlet line in the window. And they went and came into the mountain, and abode there 3 days, until the pursuers were returned. And all the pursuers sought throughout all the way, but found them not. So the two men returned and descended from the mountain and passed over, came to Yahushua son of Nun, and told them all the things that befell them. And they said unto Yahushua, truly Yahuwah delivered into our hands all the land. For even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us. Now, this is the part of what I want you to remember. When it pertained to Yahuwah in Egypt, what did Rahab specifically mention? She specifically mentioned one event. What was that she mentioned? Now, here, when you get this scarlet, it's that same word that's is this the same word that's used in Isaiah 14? It looked like it is. Let me check. No, it's not the same one. It's the one in Isaiah 1. Shani, Shan, and Nun. Scarlet, crimson. Properly the insect Coccus ilis, the dried body of the female, yielding a coloring matter from which is made the dye used for cloth to color it scarlet or crimson. Yes, Civic, that he dried up the Red Sea. And if he dried up the Red Sea, what happened there? Of course, she heard of the destruction of Pharaoh, the killing of Pharaoh. So, dang, what was that just in my brain? Oh, yeah, come over here to Matthew. What, 21? It might be 20. I can't remember. I was right the first time. Matthew chapter 21. I just overlooked it. 21 and 28. Matthew 21 and 28. But what think you? A man had two sons, and he came to the first and said, Son, go to work today in my vineyard. He answered and said, I will not. But afterwards he repented and went. And he came to the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I, sir, and went not. Whither of them twain did the will of his Abba? They said unto him the first. Yahushua said unto them, Truly I say unto you that the publicans and harlots will go into the Malkuth of Elohim before you. For Yachanan came unto you in the way of righteousness, and you believed him not. But the publicans and harlots believed him. And you, when you seen it, repented not afterwards, that you might believe it. You know what I'm saying? Now, you have a script I can look at. Rahab didn't see anything. She just heard a word and believed it. That's why she's mentioned in Hebrews 2 when it's talking about faith without works is dead. This is how you know that it has nothing to do with keeping the commandments. She didn't have any commandments to keep. You literally heard her say, we heard what your God did for you in Egypt, and our hearts melt because of it. Yes, sir. Come over to the Epistle of James. Epistle of James, chapter 2, verse 17. Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. Yeah, man may say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. You believe that there is one Elohim, you do well. The devils also believe and tremble. But will you know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered Isaac his son upon the altar? See you how faith worked with his works, and by works faith was made perfect. And the scripture was fulfilled which say, Abraham believed Elohim, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of Elohim. See you then how by works a man is justified, and not by faith only. Likewise also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works? Now, what works did she do that made her righteous? I just want to get off of that. I just want to make sure you remember what works did Rahab the harlot do which made her righteous. It says this harlot was justified by her works. What did she do? What did she do? Who can tell me, what did she do? No, I'm talking about she just ain't simply believe. She did something. What did she do? And she made a statement that you could see in the Gospels also. What did Rahab do? I ain't gonna lie, the verse tell you what she do. She took the strangers in and she hid them and she sent them out another way. And then she put the scarlet thread in the window like they told her to. And she brought all her family in her house so they could be spared. Why? Because look at this statement, what she said. I wanted to see if any of y'all picked up on this statement that she said. Right here in Yahushua, son of Nun. Yes, sir, Brother Rob. Chapter 2, verse 21. And she said, according to your words, so be it. According to your words, so be it. Why? Because they told her in verse 19 that whatsoever shall go out of the doors of your house in the street, the blood will be on his head, will be guiltless. Whosoever will be with you in this house, his blood will be on our head if anybody put hands on him. And if you talk about what we got going on, then this oath is ended. And she said, let it be according to your word. Remember how Yahushua stepped to some people and said, according to your faith, so be it. Remember what the Roman centurion said? He said, man, I'm a man of the authority. I tell men to go and they go. I tell men to stay and they stay. Just give the commandment and let it be done. See, when you look at the work of faith that she did, as y'all just mentioned, and the verse tell you that in verse 25, when she received the messengers and then sent them out the other way, and when they told her to put that scarlet thread in the window, that showed her faith. That showed the works that she was justified by. That's what made her righteous. That's what made her righteous. That is literally, you can see the example of the justification or the righteous obedience of faith. Because all she knew was what Yahuwah did to the Egyptians. She knew nothing other than that. And she moved according to that, and then moved according to the promise and the oath that those Hebrew men made with her. 2:25, James, the epistle of James. This is just an example of how people come to this to say that faith by works mean keeping the commandments, and it don't. Because the two of the examples they gave Abraham offering his son and Rahab. There was no law involved with any of these scenarios. Likewise, also, was not Rahab the harlot justified by works when she had received the messengers and sent them out another way? For the body is without the ruach is dead, so faith without works is also dead. Well, that's a little different with that one now. It resembles, but it's a different thing because she didn't get a direct promise from God. She, as a stranger, and this also shows you how strangers get saved and how they're justified by faith. Like I talk about in what you call it? In Romans chapter 4. Come over here to Hebrews 11 where she has mentioned that. Hebrews 11, and I'll pick it up at 24. Well, make it 23 since we read and all of that. The epistle to the Hebrews 11 and 23. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. By faith, Moses, when he was come of years, refused to be called son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of Elohim than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of the Mashiach greater riches than the treasures in Mizraim, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. By faith he forsook Mizraim, not fearing the wrath of the Malach, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Through faith he kept the Passover, sprinkling of blood, lest he that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry, which the Egyptians are saying to do were drowned. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down after they were compassed about 7 days. By faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she received the spies with peace. See, of course, you know the people in Jericho, they didn't believe that what happened to the Egyptians was going to happen to them. They had the same mindset that Pharaoh had. Who is Yahuwah? I don't know no Yahuwah. I don't know who that is. But she heard and believed. And then she performed actions that was congruent to what she believed. So when you look at what is faith, it is the obedience to the promise and the works that show that. Remember, the law, no matter what nobody try to spin it, the law is not a promise. He never promised anybody that at any time. That's not what he promised anybody. That's what he made a covenant with your forefathers with, but that's not what he promised anybody. Let's come back over here to Yahushua son of Nun, chapter 6. Verse 8. And I'll see if y'all can remember something. We ain't talked about this in a long time either. It's on my brain just because I just read it in Hebrews, because we finna get ready to wind this down. I'm not gonna drag this out. Yahushua son of Nun. I'll make it 1, because it's gonna be the last thing we discuss for the evening. Now Jericho was straightly shut up because of the sons of Yasharal. None went out, none came in. And Yahuwah said unto Yahushua, see, I have given into your hand Jericho and the mallet thereof and the mighty men of valor. You shall compass the city, all men of war, and go round about the city once, and you shall do 6 days. 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow with the trumpets. These 7 priests with trumpets, who do they represent? Hey, sit down. These priests with these 7 trumpets, who do they represent? Boo, do you remember who they represent? It's been a long time, so if nobody don't remember what they represent, I'm not mad at you. Stanley put on here Revelation 8 and 2. No, it's not the 7 assemblies. And when he opened, this is Revelation 8 and 1. And when he opened the 7th seal, there was silence in Shamahim about the space of a half hour. And I saw the 7 Malachim. I can't even read that because that page is gone. Revelation 8 and 2. And I saw 7 Malachim which stood before Elohim, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And another Malachim stood at the altar having a golden censer, and there was given him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. So yes, those 7 priests represent the 7 Malachim with the 7 trumpets. How do we know this? Verse 5, it shall come to pass that when you make a long blast with the ram's horn, when you shall hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up every man straight before him. How do we know this represents the 7 Malachim with 7 trumpets blowing for the wall to fall? Revelation chapter 11, verse 15. And the 7th Malachim sounded, and there were great voices in Shamahim saying, the Malchus of this world are become of our Lord and of his Hamashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. The 24 elders which sat before Elohim on their seats fell upon their faces and worshiped Elohim, saying, we give you thanks, O Yahuwah Elohim Almighty, which are, was, and are to come, because you have taken to you your great power and have reigned. And the nations were angry, and their wrath is come. And your wrath has come in the time of the dead, that they should be judged. And you should give a reward unto your servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear your name, small and great. And you should destroy them which destroy the earth. And the temple of Elohim was open in Shamahim, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. And there were lightnings, and voices, and thunderings, an earthquake, and great hail. So when you look at as forth as the testimony is concerned, with the falling of the walls of Jericho, it represents the falling of the nations, if you would, or the kingdoms of this world, because you see 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets, blowing said trumpets until the wall of Jericho fall and it be overran. This is what's pointing to you later on the back end. Yahushua son of Nun, chapter 6, verse 6. Yahushua the son of Nun called the priests and said to them, take up the ark of the covenant and let the 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram horn before the ark of Yahuwah. Obviously, you know, when the 7th trumpet is blown, who's coming back? Which represents the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah. Because he said that last trump. Don't come over here with that. Sit down. Thank you. Verse 7, and he said unto the people, pass on, compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of Yahuwah. It came to pass when Yahushua spoken unto the people that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before Yahuwah and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah followed them. And the armed men went before the priests that blew with the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark. Listen to what he said now. And the reward came after the ark, the priest going on and blowing with the trumpets. So what is this reward? Now, you know the Lord told you his reward is with him. So in this instance, when you look at reward, it is asaf. It is aleph. It is samak. It is pay. It is to gather. It is to receive. It is to remove. It is to gather in. It is to take away. It is to remove. It is to withdraw. It is to have people removed and have them perish. So when you sit back and he says that the reward came after the ark. So when Yahushua comes, what's coming after him? The people will be removed and they will perish. Let's continue. Verse 10, Yahushua son of Nun. Chapter 6, verse 10. Yahushua had commanded the people, saying, you shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth, until the day I bid you to shout, shout. So the ark of Yahuwah encompassed the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. Yahushua rose early in the morning, and the priest took up the ark of Yahuwah. 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram horn before the ark of Yahuwah went on continually. Stop. Let him have it. The priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. Verse 14. And the second day they compassed the city once and returned into the camp. And so they did 6 days. It came to pass on the 7th day that they rose up early about the dawning of the day, compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. It came to pass the 7th time the priests blew the trumpets, and Yahushua said unto the people, shout, for Yahuwah hath given you the city. And the city shall be accursed. And you can see that in regards to Babylon in Revelation 18. And all that therein to Yahuwah. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in her house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And you in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing. When you take of the accursed thing and make the camp of Yasharal accursed and troubling, this is where Achan touched the cursed thing at. Because everything in Jericho had been cursed. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass or iron are consecrated unto Yahuwah. They shall come into the treasury of Yahuwah. So the people shouted. Let's look at treasury right now, real quick, like, just for informational purposes. Just because we was also having this conversation. Also, treasury here is Atzah, treasure, storehouse. And this one here is going to be storehouse. And that's because, Malachi talk about the storehouse, gathering in the labors from the field. Y'all willing, we can talk about that on Friday. Verse 20, Yahushua son of Nun, chapter 6. So the people shouted, blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat. So the people went into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man, woman, young, old, ox, sheep, ass, with the edge of the sword. But Yahushua said unto the 2 men that spied out the country, go into the harlot's house, and bring thence the woman, and all that she has, as you swear unto her. And the young men that were spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her mother and her brethren and all that she had. And they brought out all her kindred, and they left them without the camp of Yasharal. And they burnt the city with fire and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and iron they put into the treasury of the house of Yahuwah. See, that comes out of that same portion what we talking about. Because of your temple, they'll bring their gold, what we read in Psalm 68, and what we talked about in Isaiah 60. Yahushua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelt in Yasharal unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Yahushua sent out to spy out Jericho. Yahushua jored at that time, saying, cursed be the man before Yahuwah that rise up to build this city Jericho. He shall lay the foundation thereof in his firstborn, and his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. So Yahuwah's with Yahushua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. Now we'll come back, y'all willing, Friday to look at verse 26, or where that prophecy get fulfilled, and then line that up with the testimony. but I wanted you to sit back and look at the aspect of the rewarding of faith that was manifested in our works. Let's look at these two key points in Exodus 23 that I didn't mention, and we're going to roll on out of here. The first one is in verse 18, that you will not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread. So you read 1 Corinthians 5 and 6, when he say, let us keep the feast with unleavened, without malice. We want to talk about that as forth as taking up your steak and not taking up that steak with leaven. And he said, neither shall the fat of my sacrifice remain to the morning. When you look at fat, it is kaleb, that is kat, lamad, and bad. That, of course, y'all know is fat. That's the choice. That's the best part. The abundance of the products of the land. That is the best part. What y'all think that mean when he say, don't let the best part of my sacrifice remain until the morning? What do you think this when he said, don't let the best part of my sacrifice of my cog, because you got zabak and cog. Now, the blood of my sacrifice is zabak. That's the regular word for sacrifice. But the second word for sacrifice, you got cog. That's festival, feast, festival gathering, pilgrim feast, or festival sacrifice. Kot and Gamal. And I needed to add that to when he said when they took him off the cross. I'll allow it. But no, the sun was going down, so it wasn't morning yet. The sun was going down. So I just want you to keep that in mind. He said, do not leave the kaleb of my cog remain until the morning. Because cog is used in Psalms 118. I think some of y'all may remember that. Some of you may not. Again, this is a sacrifice that is only done in a festival feast. This is a festival feast. Remember that take you back to what we came looking at, so they can keep a feast to me in the wilderness, which is the 3 pilgrimage feasts. This is a specific type of sacrifice. This is not just any old sacrifice, if you would. Yeah, right here in Psalms 118 and 27. Elohim is Yahuwah, which has showed us the light. Bind the sacrifice with cords, even to the horns of the altar. So when you look at it, he tell you don't leave the fat of my sacrifice up until the morning. You can understand that this is the sacrifice of the Passover. Yahusha is the best part. And he did not remain until the morning, if you would, because when they came at the morning, at the beginning of the day, that man was gone. Don't leave the best part until the morning. That man was gone. And why was he gone? The same way token that when you look at that the firstborn is the excellency of my strength and my might, and he sacrificed the firstborn of the Egyptians, and it said that the Egyptians woke up at what time? Midnight. They didn't let the best part stay up and remain until the morning, and people got gone. But y'all willing, we'll deal with that on the Shabbat. I say hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all. And I bless y'all. Also hallelujah in the name of Yahushua. And what it was, we went from what? The 2nd to the 9th. Straight. So prayerfully to be beneficial. All those opportunities for the trap house to be open were beneficial to your understanding and to your soul. Amen. Yahuwah Baruch. Y'all willing, we be back on Shabbat. Do it again. Just weigh and consider. And it's always a good thing to stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance, and also be able to rehash things that we haven't talked about in a very long time, for people who may not have heard it, to even have the opportunity to even go through the archives and catch it. Amen, Brother Marcus, man. Love you too, bro. So, yeah, that's where we at with it. And really what I want to try to do with it really is just do a comprehensive look at Yahuwah Baruch 10K, from the Exodus 9 pertaining to Pharaoh, and just all the elements of the freedom of salvation that is contained there in the testimony of Yahushua in the book of Exodus as it pertains to them. So again, I appreciate y'all. I bet y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua, Yahuwah willing. Till the next time.